This is a MAXUM SX2 for MAXUM Fitness. Articulating arms, 3x3 tubing, 11 gauge steel with 5/8 holes, west side spacing, 220-pound stacks on each side with weight horns, counterbalance Smith machine, and just built like a freaking tank with 2-to-1 and 1-to-1 ratio when you put these converging arms together. Well, could this beast from MAXUM Fitness be right for you guys in your home gym? Well, let's see and find out. Hope you guys enjoy. So in today's video, we're gonna cover the infamous MAXUM SX2 for MAXUM Fitness. So this has been something that's been recommended for the channel many times. And honestly, dude, rightfully so. Your boy has done all the different type of all-in-one racks. A lot of you might have subscribed to me because I've done the super budget entry all-in-one racks that are plate loaded to more of the mid-tier type all-in-one racks to then something like this for MAXUM Fitness that honestly, out of any all-in rack that I've done videos on so far, this one, for many good reasons, has just completely blown those out of the water. And today what I want to do is talk about the specs, the features, the functionality of this machine, and then just at the end, just kind of talk about my first impressions. I have a good idea of these machines after I've been doing this for almost half a decade. So I have a good idea of what kind of machine this is. And at the end of the day, after my thoughts, after, almost a month, could it be a right fit for you guys in your home gym? The first thing I want to talk about is the height of this machine is about 88 inches tall. So what I'll do, we'll put the specs of everything I'm talking about right here. Height, again, 88.5. And I know a lot of people are always wondering too, is how high can these articulating arms go? Which we'll dive more into this, but at the end of the day, let's talk about these can go, it's pretty much the highest they can go. It's about 81 inches in height. So it's, again, I'm 6 foot and it's pretty decently tall. But again, these articulating arms are nice because they come out and can go up and down, whereas it's not a traditional trolley where you have your pulley wheels right here. Something else to mention too is, again, the pull bar is the same thing, 81 inches tall. The depth of the machine is about 60 inches. Talking about the hole spacing too, these are 5/8 holes, which are universal for pretty much any rack attachment. 1 inch and 5/8 are like the universal style of that. Something else that's really cool is, in the intro I was talking about west side spacing, is you can tell you got 1 inch right here between the hole spacings, and then you got different hole spacings here for when you're doing squats. Obviously it's nice, if you're benching, you have different opportunities to fit your J-cups so you get the full stretch. Same with squatting. You have the different capabilities of getting it right where you need it to be on obviously your traps to be able to get full range of motion when you're doing the squat. So that's pretty nice. A lot of people always ask too is the specs of the arms, if you're gonna go as wide as they can go. So if you get your articulating arms all the way out as far as they can go on both sides, you can get, it's about 91 inches in length. Not a bad wingspan over here. Should I have been in the NBA? I don't know. I did dunk once when I was 18. Obviously, things have changed over time. So again, about 91 inches where both arms are at both sides here. Put that back. Something else to mention too is when you are talking about the Smith bar. So the Smith bar, this is counterbalanced. So the bar only weighs about a little over 8 pounds. And obviously counterbalance is nice for beginners who are just starting to do their main Olympic lifts like bench and squat. So you're not having to worry about starting with 45 pounds. You have, very minimal weight with this bar to be able to start working out. And then obviously even to like physical therapy, all those things. It's obviously a nice added feature to have. And I mean, the bar, dude, it's actually a pretty decent bar. It's got some passive knurl here too. And then the bar lengthwise is about 83 inches wide. Those are just some things really to keep in mind. I know a lot of people who are trying to get this into a very tight space. I've seen people try to get their racks in like bedrooms or smaller garage spaces or, geez, freaking apartment gyms. Just something to keep in mind of how far you can get these arms and how long the Smith bar is, because, you know, if your space is very limited, then that could be an issue. So obviously keep that in mind. So now let's get to the fun part of features. All the freaking attachments, there's so many. Hopefully I can get to all of them and make sure I'm right on everything that it came with, because there's so much. You can't even see it on the ground over there all over the place, which, by the way, I'm going to clean it up in this corner here. I'm going to put all the attachments on the wall, but it's a future project. So let's talk about the features of this rack. A price of something like this is over $4,000. It's a lot of money. Dude, you got to think about the fact that this thing's a freaking beast. You know, this isn't budget entry 14 gauge steel type of racks. It's 11 gauge 3x3 tubing. It can take a freaking beating, dude, by your meatheads out there and your Schwarzeneggers out there who are feeling super tough in the home gym. This thing can take a freaking beating. Mike Tyson can punch the crap out of this thing and she ain't moving. The coolest thing, which I know for a fact why everyone always is interested in this, is because these articulating arms, which articulating arms had just been the biggest buzz in the home gym community. Well, rightfully so, because you got to think about, so I got nothing on this. These things, when you're using it, it goes with you wherever you're going, and it's freaking smooth as butter. And it's also nice too that you have all your different adjustments for the different exercises, so you're able to get just full range of motion, exercise functionality, and versatility. And it's just a smooth experience, which you got, we can count here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 adjustments on both of these arms here. The whole entire system uses super smooth aluminum pulleys that are, you know, I personally think are more commercial grade. Same with the cables here, are very, very well made type of material. The trolley system of these arms, I think that's a huge thing with, you know, other, obviously like a GetRX, is this is freaking heavy. But honestly, your boy is feeling, wow, one arm here. Do you like that pop pin right here? I mean, obviously I'm like a stronger guy, but you know, someone who's, you know, entry level, you know, really not the strongest person, all you gotta do is maybe just gotta like grab it with the pop pin and just kind of guide your hand here up and down. But dude, pretty freaking smooth, brother. Pretty smooth. And again, you have so many adjustments. It's just really cool that these things just kind of glide wherever you go, which is just nothing I've ever been able to experience in the home gym. Obviously, other features too is you got your multi-grip pull bar here, which is obviously, you know, bolted up to the cross member up here, which 11 gauge steel all around here, steel finish everywhere, dude. You got your laser cut numbers here on the front, getting your west side spacing 1 inch and 2 inches. You know, these uprights here are 11 gauge steel. The thing is just, this thing is freaking beastly, dude. All right, so diving more into the feature of our Smith bar. So we just get this thing as low as it can get. Put these spotters at the very bottom here. You know, you notice this goes pretty low to the ground compared to a lot of other Smith machines, where I'm actually almost able to actually get almost pretty close to full range of motion before it hits the spotters here, which is, you know, for a lot of people, they love doing hip thrusts on the Smith machine. And I do like that you have, you know, the capability of most people, they only do like a full range of motion hip thrust with this, which is, you know, honestly a win. And you can see as I'm moving this, you know, the counterbalance system here, which is pretty cool actually. It's like gliding here as I'm going up and down, is very smooth, very smooth. There's no grinding noise. There's no, sounds like it's gonna freaking just honestly crush you at some point. And there's none of that just crap, ton of oscillation back and forth with those other bars where with just like nothing on it, it's like it's going back and forth. I'm like, is it gonna freaking just, you know, he's gonna concave in and just kill me one day? With this, dude, you're not gonna have that issue. Now, I was trying to figure out, you know, on their site too, how much this can take, but just the weight capacity of the whole thing takes 1,000 pounds, which, I mean, it's a Smith machine. It's only 8 pounds, so you got to think about, you know, you're never gonna get to that point. It's not the point of this. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, what's pretty cool is you have a lot of adjustments. You know, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's 20 pegs here. That is a ton of adjustments. So many of these budget Smith machines, they got like 11 or 12 or 13. And then there's so many issues with range of motion. Like, I have buddies who are like, dude, I'm trying to do a bench and the pegs here stop, and I have like a couple inches left before it hits my chest. There's no possible way you'll have that issue with this, because there's so many opportunities to put it on the pegs here to get that full range of motion, especially with, like I said, bench. Now, being 6 foot, and I know a feature that Major Fitness did is they put the ability to store this upright. I've seen some people do is they would store it on the bolt right there. So it's just sitting on top of this bolt. Now, all right, we're gonna do it where I'm not like feeling like I'm scared to death gonna get freaking hit. We're gonna walk normal. Huh? Let's go backwards. Not bad. Now, I mean, that's just something that people have done, is put it up there. It's not gonna take away from the functionality. It's not gonna hurt the machine if you put it up there. Obviously, if you're a taller person, you can get that out of the way so that's not in your way if you're wanting to come inside the rack and do your different lifts. Now, other features too, let's talk about the weight stack here. So the weight stack. This is a big weight stack, dude. This is 220 pounds. That is a lot of freaking steel, dude. Now, keep in mind, this is 2-to-1 with the articulating arms, but if you wanted to get super wild and fancy and crazy, you put these things, which we'll pull this up here. It's pretty even, I'd say. Get these things together, drop this down, and then you're able to put these together. You know, you can do is like the Kaizen adapter, or Jim Pin sells it too. You adapt these together and get your attachments, which I'll show later, to get that 1-to-1 ratio, which 220 pounds is plenty of weight for 99.99999% of people for your pulley movements. But if you don't really want to put those together, you're just like, I'm feeling lazy, then keep in mind that this is just a 2-to-1, but you can just put plates on this. So, you know, 220, split that in half, it's 110 pounds. You can slide a 45 on each side, that's 200 pounds, and you're still able, that's plenty of weight to do a lot of your different lifts. We'll talk about these arms and the attachments. You know, obviously some exercises are, you know, with these arms could be a little more difficult, which we'll talk about. But I think the weight horns are just such a nice added feature, because there's gonna be people out there that will max out 220, and they say, okay, I want 20 more pounds. Well, you can do that with this. You have these weight horns here. Now, I'm keeping it like this because, to be honest, I put this together in 1-to-1, and 220 pounds is plenty for me. So this is not, I don't really care. You know, obviously if I get stronger and bigger, which probably not, I just turned 32 a few days ago. I'm just honestly looking just to stay alive and stay in shape at this point in my life. But again, you never know. You can't have these weight pegs. See this middle one here? You can't have these here because if you're doing, let's say, you want to put 20s on each side, 25s on each side, it's going to hit this weight here, and then you can't use it. So if that's something you're wanting to do, you can obviously keep, so you get 6 weight horns. You can do 1 on top, 1 on bottom in each side, and then you could probably honestly do, I've seen people do, is you could put 1 on the back side if you got plenty of distance from the wall, or you can even put it right here and put it here. There's other opportunities you can do that, but just, I want you to keep that in mind, is do not put these here in the middle if you're wanting to use these weight horns for your different movements. And obviously the back side here, you got your upright beams here, your cross members here, 11 gauge steel, 5/8 holes Got your sick MAXUM Fitness sign here. And then back here, this cross member is honestly really nice for, we got our J-cups, we got our spotter arms here. And then what's honestly pretty cool on the back side, they even said this is a two-sided rack. So if you were to stick this in the middle of your gym and not butt it up against your wall, you and your buddy, someone could do stuff in the front and your buddy could be on the back side doing squats, which, I mean, that's pretty cool. They mentioned it on the site, and I wanted to mention that as a feature of this all-in-one rack. All right, now to the crazy part of all the freaking attachments this came with. And it's gonna take some time. I'm just gonna go back and forth picking it up and show you guys, because there's so much, which, I mean, it's great. Functionality is fantastic. Now let's start with the first thing is you got your J-cups here, which is UHMW. Essentially that is just so it protects your bar. So you got your J-cups here, which go into your 5/8 holes here, which are your standard J-cups. You know, these aren't like anything to cry home about, but I do like that, the added protection of your bar. And then you got these spotter arms, dude, are actually pretty freaking rad, dude. So they got these safety straps on top of the spotter arm. And then obviously it goes into your 5/8 hole here. There we go. These things are freaking beefy, man. Those straps are actually really cool. I've never had something like that. So obviously if you're dropping this for protection, if you're benching or squatting, it hits this for added protection. The next thing we've got here is, this is for your seated rows. So you could put it right down here, and then you get a giant bag full of these pins. There's so freaking many, man. So then you would use these pins at the bottom here. You would pin it in, obviously to keep this secure. And there's 4 different adjustments on this piece here so that you're able to get, you know, if you're longer, you know, shorter, you know, you got different range of motion with that, which is nice. Keep going. You got your lat, your seat, your lat pull down seat, hold your legs down, which is nice. So it's got this piece here that goes into the 5/8 holes here. You just slide this in. Obviously you would pin this in right here so it's not, you know, coming out and moving. And if you want to come up here and do a lat pull down or, you know, any like high pull movement, you can do that. Obviously keep in mind, if you do that, this is a 2-to-1 ratio, but you still have the weight horns here to get plenty of weight if you're wanting to do it like that. The next thing, put a barbell pad on our Smith bar here so that if you're someone like me who, it doesn't feel great having that bar on my shoulders. I don't want to be freaking having this bar chewing on my traps, so that's nice to have. And then this is just a longer attachment for lat pull downs or high pull movements compared to the one right here, which we'll talk about. You could add it to something. A couple other things. We've got this landmine attachment, which this landmine attachment just goes down here, and then you would just pin it down here. So you're able to obviously do your different landmine work, and then to have the ability to use something like this when you're doing landmine work. You got your bar here for curls, tricep extensions, and you got your lat pull down bar here as well. In my opinion, one of the coolest attachments that this comes with is this adapter that slides onto the uprights here. We'll just slide it to the bottom here, let it sit here, so that you're able to use this adapter to then converge these together. You got this, you got your adapter, and then you're able to then go on the bottom here and do rows. You're able to do just so many different exercises with this, which I think is just very cool. I think it's just something that I have never seen before. So if you wanted, let's say like I just pulled this low row here, what you would do is you would put it on the bottom here, like so, and then you have to do is you got to make sure you pin these in, and then you would put your low row here, pin this in as well. You have your 4 adjustments, and then you can just drop these down like so, all the way to the bottom, and all the way to the bottom. And then you would obviously do is connect these with the adapter, and you can do rows. And if you wanted to do as well, pull this up, and then you interchange this adapter here, and then you pull up a bench, and you can put these converging arms up and do lat pull downs. Honestly, this adapter is meant because you want to be able to get these arms to get that 1-to-1 ratio that all of us in the home gym are wanting to have, which is, it's just a really, really cool idea. Out of all the attachments, which we had like 57, this is easily the coolest one. I've never had something like this, and really makes MAXUM stand out from the competition with utilizing this. I've seen other brands start to get these center post pieces out and utilize that too, but in my gym, never seen anything like that. I think that's really cool. All right, so some other attachments. So you got your dip attachment here, which just goes into 5/8 hole here, and then you would pin this down, so obviously there's not much wiggle here when you're getting up here and doing your dips. You also get is you just like seated row, high pull, low pull attachment here, which has got a little bit of passive knurl here. It's not too bad. Also came with a little bit of a chain here, so if you wanted to extend it out for range of motion, you know, depending on, you know, where you're at with your different body types. And then also you get these handles here, which are just these rubber coated D handles, which are nothing crazy, but get the job done for, you know, what they are. And then these two things are actually really a good idea. So it comes with this bracket with this pulley. Why the heck would you need this? When you're doing, for example, wanting to do a curl, if you were to get this all the way, here, come over here. You want to get this all the way down to the bottom here and do a curl. Let's just rotate this over. You're doing a curl. And obviously it's not bad, but it's just different how the articulating arm is. You're having to go way out. So what they did, and we'll bring this up all the way up here, is you're given this pulley down here with this bracket, so that what you'll do is you'll pin this down, and then you'll attach it. You got to get it to where there's enough cable slack. If you go lower, a little bit lower, you get a little bit more cable slack. Now, what I did, you can do is use an Allen key, and you can pull a little bit more cable slack up. You'd use it for curls. I've seen people do, I personally have not done it yet, but they use the bracket with the next piece here, and then they attach it to do belt squats, which honestly, that's something I'm gonna try. Maybe make some shorts on, which seems really cool. And then the final thing you got here is your leg press attachment, which it pins into, there's two holes here. It pins into the latches here. And you're able to take this on and off if you're doing a leg press. Not gonna lie, I'm just not a huge fan of these, dude. They're just a pain in the butt. I'm gonna stick to using a compact leg press machine. Obviously I have the space. This is a personal opinion. If you're using this all-in-one machine for everything, you know, this is something that I could see people using, but for me, I've tore up my shins, tore up my calf. I always have an issue trying to balance this and taking it on and off, but it does come with this as an added feature to your counterbalance Smith machine. And after using this again, putting myself through a good workout, the clips that you guys are watching are after I put this to the test. Just really some main things that I've came across is that when you are assembling this, keep in mind that the trolley, when it goes to the very bottom here, it's touching the top of the cable. So Bob and MAXUM mentioned he's gonna provide like a bracket that goes around the cable. So it sits on top of that when you're putting it to the lowest spot, which is a flat foot design, so it goes pretty far to the bottom. The Smith bar came a little chipped. Again, at MAXUM, they're very good at responding and working on those things. And there's some other things too, is that when you're putting this together, I've noticed that people, when they put these arms, I've seen some people put it, this section goes swapped here, and if you put it here, it's gonna hit the pull-up bar, so make sure your handles are facing outward so you're not hitting this. And obviously, your cables here are just rubber, cheap. I did like the row attachment, some passive knurl, spending $4 grand. Obviously, attachments that got a little bit nicer would be nice to add. Those are just some things some minor feedback that I've noticed. I got a long time using this, but again, like I mentioned, if you think you're gonna buy this, you're like, dude, this persuaded me, or I'm gonna buy this. You know, I was on the fence, but watching this, I like all the features it has. Again, Luke's Garage Gym, link in the description on my website. Everywhere on my social media helps me out. Appreciate it again, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. Can't wait to bring you guys more content soon on Luke's Garage Gym. It's Luke from Luke's Garage Gym. See you guys later. Can stand this thing, dude.